All right, the TORO TurfMaster, Toastmaster, also Timemaster. This cable, drive cable, power drive cable, however you want to phrase it, it has a bunch of different names. It is the cable that goes to the transmission from the handle and drives the wheels, right? Pulls the transmission in. There's a lot of different names for it, but it's the same thing, and it pretty much is the same cable or the same concept, the same way basically it works. We're going to do a cable installation today. So quick backstory is customer picked up the cable, he tried to put it in and he was unsuccessful, so we dropped it off here with the cable, and that usually means that something's missing or not right or whatever, and you're starting from the point of, if you haven't seen it installed in the first place, there could be issues where you just can't quite recognize exactly what's going on. But I made it quick and easy for you. I figured it out, and you guys can do it too. It's actually pretty damn simple. It's easy to do. So let's get started on the TORO TurfMaster. So this is the customer's cable. He picked this up. It looks like it might be the right one. It looks pretty close. But before we install it, or try to install it, I'm going to put some white lube on this, especially down here. This is where all of the junk collects, and it is bare. So we're going to get some white lube on it. We'll pull it in. Same thing on this side. And the nice thing about this side is you can put your chain lube in here. And honestly, what's nice about these is that if the cable ever really gets stuck, but it's in good shape, you can take the sheath off. These are these nice cables, and you could literally wet this down with oil. So one of the things I like to use is, this is a mix of tranny sauce, and I call it tranny sauce, soy sauce, mix of transmission fluid and gasoline. And you could check this out on my shorts, you'll find it. So remember the cables, if you think back, for those of you that remember, like some of the old choke cables, they were like a steel rod that went through a kind of coiled sheath like this. And those were nice because they were very strong, very sturdy. I'm just kind of do it in front of you. And but when they got stuck, that was a pain in the neck. So I mean, yeah, you could take the vinyl off a section or two, maybe even a little bit towards the end, a little bit towards the other end, and you could spray your favorite chain lube in, or whatever lube. There we go, that's all we want. And it will just go right through and into the cable, and it'll unstick it. Same thing with these cables, as long as they're not too rusted, because they'll break. But I do this in a lot of the older restorations. Sometimes you can't get a cable, you may have to make up a cable. Before you go through all that, you want to see if anything's running. You spend a little bit of time with a cable. But this is something that looks like it's available. Let's go over to the machine now. We're lubricated, just an extra step, but we're lubricated, we're ready to go. Let me set you up. I want to get you in with the little camera first so you can see, because you're not going to be able to see much, but I want to show you where I'm connecting it, all right? So we want to leave this out, kind of. We need a lot of slack. So you don't want to connect it to the handle end first. You want to connect it to the transmission end. Let's go. So we got our hole that the cable comes through, which is up there. See it? So the cable's going to come down, and it's got to make this turn to here. And let me see if I can get you in. It's going to be hard, but this is where the cable lock goes. Here, you know what? Can we get underneath? Yeah, you see it. Hold on. Right there. And when, just get in, gets plenty of light. I can't get the camera in there, fellas. See it there? And it's going to come, it's going to plug in there, it's going to come across to here. And that's where you're going to hook your cable in. This is actually, this thing here, as it pulls forward, that's actually what turns the transmission on. Basically, it throws some gears. And over here, where that spring is, clear this area out good. I'm going to blow it out with some high pressure air. I tried to get it with the water. And then drop some chain lube or something in there, oil. Chain lube is good because it'll gel up a little bit. We'll get that in there first. And if this should move by hand. See that? See, it better move by hand. If it's not moving, now he had this transmission replaced, and I guess the guy ripped him off. I don't know what was going on. I don't know. It's not my job to handle that. All right, fellas, so I pulled it in through that hole, and I slipped it, the cable through, just so you understand. I showed you before kind of like where we are. Now I'm going to be in your way a little bit. We're going to take this end of it, and where this end clips in, we don't have to worry because we're going to pull it out like this. We're not going to clip it in yet. We're just going to work it around. I know I'm going to be a little bit in your way. Pull out some excess. You're going to get crap on it. Drop it in here. Sorry if I'm in your way, but that's what we're going to have to put up with. And I'll have to work it a little bit to get it in there. Okay, now it's in. Now it'll slide through. When you look close, you'll see it'll slide through that bracket. And then we'll be able to snap it in. Okay. No, see, it's not grabbing. See, those tangs are not out far enough. Give it a tug. See, it's not grabbing. So these tangs are not coming out far enough, and we can't see in there. It snaps in, but because this plate here is aluminum and it's thick. Well, let's see if we can pull them out a little bit. All right, we might have to fuss with this cable for a little while because it's not really. I don't think it's really the right one. These are aftermarket. And this is what he bought, so, you know, if I can't get it to work, I don't know, we'll have to try to find a proper aftermarket one. I mean, you know, original equipment, like OEM, as they say. But if we can flex those out, we'll keep trying. I'll sit here and I'll work with it. It's getting closer. Almost. Now, it might stay and work its way in. Unfortunately, I can't really see. There's only one space I can look is from here, and there's no way I'm going to be able to see that. If we connect it, we could try it and see, because the way the tension is on it, there'll be tension on it. And I checked this. This is, you know, lubed well. I got my lube in from here. There's really no way to really do this. It's really more for like a steel bracket like this. It's a little thinner. This is just too thick for it, I think. And spreading it out won't really do anything. Let's try connecting it on the handle end and observe. So now we'll pull the slack through and observe it. And we'll see what happens. It might be okay. All right, so we'll give it a little bit of slack and we'll see what happens. I'll be back. All right, fellas, I know I didn't show this part, but take this off, like I said earlier. And then you want to be on this side with the hook, because otherwise it'll jam up. See how nice and clean that looks? I should be able to bring it a little tighter. See how it lays? The other guy had it on this side, and it was binding, it was hitting. You don't want that, all right? So this is nice. A touch of slack, touch. Get nice and tight, but not too tight. Remember, that's plastic. This is the arrangement. You'll have to reconnect this side. Right, so this is your blades. So what do? Lift that up. I would just remove that. And that pulls in. Okay, so we're good to go. And you could drip some oil, your chain wax down it here when it's in the vertical. But I've done that last time I serviced it. This looks good here. Let's do the blades and a few other things, and then I'll put her on all fours. All right, I'm going to actuate the handle. Okay, and it's moving good. So you can see it's on. Now we got one more thing to do. I want to show you what I did. So if you can make something, or I picked these up a while back. Right, these are like these cheap Chinese gasket scrapers, seal pullers, etc., tools, whatever. And I just braced this machine really good, and you clip it on the inside in here first on the body. And then I grabbed it and pulled, and then I just dropped it right down on there. Now, it's not down, so we want to make sure. Now it's down. And now there's proper tension. It's pulling up, which is putting proper tension. And I could feel it before. There was not enough tension on it. This light might flash a little bit on you guys, but you can see. Pretty simple, easy to do. That's all there is to it. All right, let's get out of here. All right, fellas, I told you that would be pretty quick and easy and with a few tips. Now, another tip is I serviced this machine and I actually kind of resurrected it. That's on other videos. Not all of them will be out when you see this. Maybe they are. I like to generally service a machine, so I changed the oil. I did a few other things. But in a situation like this, you want to be able to see and get in there and not frustrate yourself. So I cleaned it. I pressure washed it with my electric pressure washer because it wasn't that bad. And I sharpened the blades. And because you want to get in there and get everything clean. Also, I showed you where that actuator arm is, right? Where the cable connects to and it pulls in that actuator arm. You want to make sure that's nice and free. To start off by getting it free, stick your pressure washer in there carefully on low pressure. You could use a hose, but an electric pressure washer for the condition that this machine is in, it was more than enough, and you're not going to damage the belt. Stay away from the belt. Get in there and lubricate it like I showed you. Dry it off. What's nice about chain waxes and chain lubes is they kind of dry. Another thing you can sometimes do is hose it down. If you lubricate, a lot of times when I lubricate an entire machine, I'll bring it back out. I'll let it sit for an hour or two because those kinds of things need time to set up. Those kinds of chemicals, they get in like a penetrant lube and they do their business. Make sure everything's going all around, and then sometimes I give it a quick rinse. That way there's nothing excess. I wipe up the mess. You don't want anything kind of collecting more dirt than is necessary. But it doesn't matter because you're going to be hosing this thing down with filth. And that's what I'm going to do very shortly. I'm going to bring it outside and I'm going to spend the rest of the day testing it, and that'll be a separate video. I'm going to put this up against my Honda HRX 217. I've got nothing but pine needles down. What a pain in the neck to get those pine needles up. And all of the conventional mowers that I've tried, and I've tried a lot of them because that's what I do, other than commercial, all the conventional homeowner style mowers have had trouble picking up those pine needles, except for the Honda. So I'm going to put this thing up, do a face-off, this against the Honda, make a couple of stripes, do a test, see what happens. That's going to be another story and another video for another day. Thanks for tuning in, and check out, well, in the folder, there'll be a folder for the Timemaster and Timemasters and TORO TurfMaster, Toastmaster, Trashmaster, that's what it is, Trashmaster.